Students, today I shall discuss the topic state and non-state initiatives addressing caste and tribe discrimination. That means the steps taken by the government, that is the state, and the non-governmental organization addressing caste and tribe discrimination. First of all, I shall discuss about state initiative. The Indian state has had special programs for STs and SCs since even before independence. And the schedules listing the caste and tribe recognized as deserving of special treatment because of massive discrimination practiced against them were drawn up in 1935 by the British Indian government. As already you know the Act of 1935, isn't it? Which we have studied in chapter 2. So under that act, all those SCs and STs were recognized, and as because they were deserving, they were dominated, discriminated, so different programs or schemes were launched for the upliftment of those sections of people. After independence, the same policies have been continued and many new ones added, and the extension of special programs to the other backward classes is one of them since the early 1990s. That means from 1990s onwards, OBCs were recognized and given special program. Through the scheme of reservation, state attempted to compensate for past and present caste discrimination, and the policy involves the setting aside of some places or seats for members of the scheduled caste and tribes in different spheres of public life. As already all of you aware of those reservation system, isn't it? That means keeping some seats aside for the deserving sections of people. This include reservation of seats in the state and central legislatures, that is in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, reservation of jobs in government service across all departments and public sector companies, and reservation of seats in educational institutions, etc. But this reservation system varies from caste to caste. The way it is decided for STs, it is not decided for SCs in the same way. Accordingly, the proportion of OBCs are also decided differently. In addition to reservation, there have been a number of laws passed to end, prohibit and punish caste discrimination, especially untouchability. One of the earliest law was the Caste Disability Removal Act of 1850 in the British India under East India Company, which disallowed the curtailment of rights of citizens due solely to change of religion or caste. This act allowed the person who converted from one religion to another will get the equal rights under the new laws, especially in case of inheritance. That means this act allowed that even though one person change his or her religion, but he or she will get the same rights as other individual used to get. Okay. Next is the Constitution of India, which was passed in 1950, abolished untouchability and introduced the system of reservation. Okay. Next is the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act of 1989. This act enacted to prevent atrocities, that means atrocities means cruel act, against scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. The 1989 Prevention of Atrocities Act revised and strengthened legal provisions punishing acts of violence or humiliation against Dalit and Adivasis. That means under this act no one can discriminate or humiliate SCs and STs. If they humiliate or discriminate, then the person will get punishment. The most recent such law was the Constitution Amendment, that is 93rd Amendment Act of 2005, which became law on 23rd January 2006. And this amendment is for introducing reservation for other backward classes in the institution of higher education. That means under this act, OBCs can go for availing higher education. Moreover, 1850 Act used to allow entry of Dalits to government schools. As already I have discussed that earlier, on the basis of caste system, lower caste were not allowed to enter into educational institution, isn't it? So under this Act of 1850, those Dalits were allowed to go to government school, and OBCs were allowed to enter into higher education under the Act of which one? The Constitution Amendment Act of 2005. The fact that legislation was passed repeatedly on the same subject is the proof of the fact that the law alone cannot end a social practice. That means if we need to bring change, we will have to change the society. We will have to change our mindset. Then only we can bring change in the society. Next is non-state initiative. That means non-governmental organization. That means what were the different steps taken by non-states. Okay. So first is that state action alone cannot ensure social change. No social group is weak or oppressed. They are only a victim and often struggle for justice and dignity. Like all other groups, Dalits too have been increasingly active on the political, agitational and cultural fronts. And from the pre-independence struggles and movement launched by people like Jyotiba Phule, Yotidas, Periyar, Ambedkar and others, to contemporary political organizations like the Bahujan Samaj Party in Uttar Pradesh or the Dalit Sangharsh Samiti of Karnataka, so different groups were formed to protest against discrimination which was there in our society in the name of caste or class. Other than forming different groups, Dalit have also made significant contribution to literature in several Indian languages, especially Marathi, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu and Hindi. That means through literature also they can show their position or they can express their condition in front of other sections of people. So they start contributing in the literature too. Okay, so these were the steps taken by state and non-states to address caste and tribe discrimination. Okay, thank you.